Uh, Welcome everybody. I'm just having a good time. Welcome to the Let's Get It podcast. My name's Al Gordon, chef by trade, restaurateur. Now I'm doing more business consulting as far as in the restaurant side, training, kitchen staff, meeting with owners, etc., etc. But anyway, enough about me. There's a few criteria that I have for individuals that come in this show. I pretty much got 5 criteria. Number 1 is that you got to have more than 7 years experience in your particular trade or field off top. If you don't have that, don't contact me, don't text me, don't email me. You're not getting the show. Just off top. Number 2 is that you can't be afraid of your own shadow, meaning you can't be afraid to, for lack of better terms, pussyfoot around information. If you're afraid of your shadow, it's not going to work because you can't make everybody happy. So that's number 2. Number 3, you got to tell it like it is. If I want to stuff sugar-coated, I'll watch network TV. I'm not here for that. Life is too short. We got to get some things done, okay? Number 4, you got to have some nuggets in your utility belt. Utility belts is something, things that you have that you can share with people that will help you through certain situations, things you learned over the years. So I'll call it a utility belt because you can pull out certain things and help you get through certain situations. That was number 4. Number 5 is that you got to look good, you got to smell good. That's it. Yeah, that's, well, it doesn't take much for him. But anyway, this gentleman here, I've known over 7+ years. At least 7+ years. I'm going to try to go through everything in his resume. I might not make it all through, but here we go, okay? Because I had to write it down. There were so many things, I had to write it all down. Overall, just a good, solid dude that you're meeting here today. Let's see, where do I start? He's an actor. He's a writer. He's a producer. He's a professor. He's been on underscreen, in the theater, the front side of the camera, the back of the. You name this industry as far as Hollywood, getting in the game, agents, anything that has to do with people coming out here trying to get in the industry, the theater, acting industry. This is a go-to guy. I mean, if he wasn't a go-to guy, he wouldn't be here. So anyway, Richard, I want you to tell these guys a little bit about you, and then I got a few little questions I want you to share with these guys, please.
Okay. Hello, my name is Richard Pluim. I have been living in Los Angeles since 2010, I'd say. Okay. 2010, 2011. I have my education, my formal education is in theater. So I went to undergrad at Cal Poly Pomona University here in Southern California. Well, actually, I started a civil engineering program there, and I got halfway through it, and then decided, I want to be in theater. I want to be an actor. So I switched to theater. After graduating from there, I went straight into graduate school at CalArts up in Valencia, Santa Clarita, and then. So I received an MFA in acting from CalArts and then came down to Los Angeles.
Now, really quick, CalArts, that's a specialty program. Not anybody could get into CalArts. That's 12 out of 1,000 people apply, some kind of crazy number, right?
Yes. So it is a conservatory, although in addition to the conservatory training, they also have a very avant-garde aesthetic. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. So you get all of the classical speech and movement training and analyzing Shakespeare and things like that, Ibsen, that you would get at most programs. And then in addition to that, you get very forward-thinking performance art. What can we really make out of this? What would be the weirdest, coolest, most impossible thing we can do? Let's do that. So very liberal.
Okay.
Like liberal arts would call CalArts liberal.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people do apply. My class had 14 actors in the graduate program in my year out of, I don't know, I'm sure Yeah, between 500 and 1,000 actors applied all over the States and all over the world. I had someone in my class from Manchester, England, someone from Brazil. I think he was from Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Fernando, if I didn't get that right.
Don't worry about it. He'll be all right.
Yeah, pretty much they were from everywhere in my class except California. I was the only native Californian in my class.
Okay.
Well, I guess there was one from the Bay Area, and then I was the only one from Southern California.
So making the transition. Sorry, guys, the issues here. Making the transition from school to deciding that you want to go. Well, first you switch your majors. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
What was the deciding factor that you want to go from the engineering degree to that? What was the deciding factor to make you say, I'm not feeling this, I want to go this route?
Okay, yes. So I was an engineering major, civil engineering, and I had a theater minor. So
Okay.
I thought, even as I entered college, I thought, I really like theater. Let me do that as much as possible, and then I have engineering. And I didn't really tell my parents or anything this, but my secret plan was I have basically until I get my degree to make it as an actor so that I don't have to do engineering.
Right.
That was always kind of in the back of the brain. I did fine in the program, did all right in the math classes, the physics classes and whatever. I had an internship at a big private firm in Riverside, California, where I'm from, and I actually spent 2 summers there, and felt like a hot shot. I was 18, 19 years old, making twice minimum wage, working 40 hours.
Right.
I got 2 15-minute breaks, an hour lunch. Nobody's checking my time clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember sitting in there one day. I was sitting in my cubicle, and I was looking around thinking, okay, so that corner office, like, that lady, she's kind of old, like, maybe she'll retire in, like, 15 years.
Right.
Okay, over there in that office, that guy, like, he's getting there, like, okay, so maybe if I play my cards right here, I can, yada yada, this and that and the other, and boom, I could be in one of these offices, like, by the time I'm 40, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Thought, okay, cool, be making a nice 6 figures, can have a family, have the picket fence, have the car, all the, like, the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so I paint in this picture, and I go, yeah, and I can travel whenever I want, I can afford nice vacations, I can go to New York and go to London to the West End, see some theater, and I can see any play I want. And I just had this very vivid picture in my mind of being, like, middle-aged, very successful, and sitting in the audience of some whatever Broadway show, and looking at the cast during the curtain call, and they're all taking their bows, and not even looking at the lead guy, but just looking at someone in the back and going, what if I did that? And then, like, boom, flashback, I'm back in the cubicle, I'm 19, and I was like, yep, like, I'm done with this shit, like, I gotta go do that.
Right.
Gotta do that. Hands down, it was just such a huge, overwhelming, there's no way, the worst thing in the world to me would be to look at something and wish I did it.
Wow, yeah.
So just the regret. And so around at that time, I was playing with this idea that regret just comes from what you didn't do, not what you did. And so that was very kind of circulating my thought process then. So that was it. That was the day, and I thought, okay, cool. I finished out the summer. When I went back to school, I formally changed my major, and I had to petition a lot of classes that I took in engineering to count for general eds so that I can get out on time and do this whole deal there. But that was it. That was the transition.
Okay, so you get this whirlwind of emotion, life-changing, I don't know, just juice, let's say. You change your major. When it came to, you were already in LA. What made you decide, is LA the best place at the time? Well, what's the difference between back then when you first finished school and now? What are the differences that you notice now as a professional?
That's
within reason.
Okay, so we're like fast forward through all this school program back now, like professionally, like what?
Yeah, like looking back at it now, when you first got out of school.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Tell you what. When you got out of school, what was the protocol for an actor to do back then? You come out,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So one thing that a lot of competitive graduate programs do is they'll have what's called a showcase or an agency showcase. I think they used to call it something else back in the day, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is you have you do a scene or two, sometimes a song, depending on what your program is, and you have this hour and a half long show for industry professionals, and you invite casting directors and agents that'll come see it. And I know now that it's new agents or agents assistants, like junior agents,
right,
to go and check out the new talent and see, okay, like what's CalArts bringing, what's Yale got this year, and so you perform a scene that just kind of encapsulates where you are as an actor, the kind of roles you want to play, just kind of your persona, really. And from there, the goal is, okay, I'll do the showcase, I'll get a bunch of meetings, I'll sign an agent, and right out the gate, I'm off to the races. They're sending me on auditions. I'm going to start booking, and then
that's your thought process. That's what you're
That's
thinking.
the thought process. That's the goal, and I think many grad students still think that. It's not true. Not true.
Ain't gonna happen.
No,
right.
I think that was true in the 80s and probably in the 90s, but nowadays that's not very likely. So there's this whole... then we get to this whole notion of you got to run your own race.
Right.
And you can look at any successful actor, celebrity that you want to and compare them. And each one that you look at will have their own road to making it. Everyone loves the story of Brad Pitt doing background work. Then you have like Lupita Nyong'o, who right after Yale, like boom, she's in 12 Years a Slave. And so, it all depends on, it's very, very case by case by case by case.
Right.
So, when you graduate, when you finish grad school, or an undergrad, a BFA program, some people in the class do get an agent right away, and they get to go out on auditions. Others don't get one for a while. I didn't get an agent for 3 years.
Do you need an agent, though?
I think nowadays, yes
and
no.
Okay.
Yes and no. You don't need an agent to start acting. You don't need an agent to act in paid work. But you will come to a time as you're climbing the ladder, building your career, where you're ready for the kind of roles that are only achieved through an agency booking. So that's the stuff that's on TV, most of the major streaming services and films, the union films.
Did you have someone or a mentor, or was there a list that they say, okay, when you get done with school, these top 5 things you should do to kind of get the ball rolling, or to get in the industry, or to get...
So there's some cliche things that are valuable, but really what they'll say is, okay, you got to get headshots and, kind of network and send them out and get an agent and then whatever, which is just very kind of pie in the sky, doesn't really happen anymore.
Right.
I was fortunate to have a teacher who, I actually didn't really like this teacher at all, but they did this awesome thing, which was show me the work of a woman named Dallas Travers. And she built a career as the actor's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Was her, that was her, I don't want to say catchphrase because that sounds so like, I don't know, kind of hokey, but that was what she was known as. And so she had a book out called The Tao of Show Business that was a really great beginning route to navigating the business and kind of getting in the door through the back, like getting in the back door.
Okay.
And so, now she's since shifted her own career. She's now training coaches in various fields, but her earlier work was for actors. And so through her work, she helped actors to sort of intelligibly navigate things like getting an agent. So as an example, for getting an agent, she would say, and I did this to get an agent myself, to look at the kind of roles you want to play. So it's one thing for me to send my headshot to everyone in town and, just maybe someone will get me and Hail Mary.
Right.
Okay. It's another thing if I go, okay, well, I actually want to do film. So for me, I'm interested in the independent feature films more than I am in TV or Broadway. So I thought, okay. So I looked up 10 of my favorite movies, or maybe my favorite film directors that I would like to work with. And I go on IMDb Pro. So you got to get the Pro account. You get some more information when you subscribe.
So the IMDb is a site where you find actors and what they've done, their resume online.
Okay. Yeah. Internet Movie Database.
Okay.
And so Pro. And so you subscribe, and then you get much more information. So what I would do is log on and look at the directors that I liked, that I would want to work with. Oh my gosh, I love this movie. Oh, if I was in this movie, that would be it.
Right.
So find those, and then scroll down the cast and see who maybe, not who was the lead, but who maybe just had a scene in the film, or just maybe a couple scenes, just very minor role, and then click on their name and see who their agent is. So when I look at their agent, I go, okay, so this agent represents this person who got on the movie. So this agent can get me in the office of the casting director that casts movies like this. So yeah, I want to send my stuff to this agent because that's the kind of ballpark I want to be in.
What kind of homework? That's good to know, because a lot of times people come in and they spend so much money going out to all these events and trying to meet people, and you just squander so much money. What would you tell someone? Okay, we know about the agent. Ballpark, when you got to get headshots, what numbers are we looking at as far as headshots to get in the game?
Okay, so headshots, you'll need for your first round of headshots, $300 to $400. I'd say you don't want to spend less than that. They won't be an experienced photographer unless you have a network of friends and a photographer is just starting and you want to, there's a lot of great deals. I've gone to things like a headshot party where it's like, okay, like $20 and you get one look and just a couple of shots, and everybody comes and you drink wine if you're 21 or not.
Right.
And you just have a good time. So you get your pictures done, and then that's a start. So things like that are okay when you're looking for an agent.
So no more 400
is about
where you need to
where
be.
you want to start. You don't need to spend $1,000 yet. Just wait. Do that later. Once you kind of have an agent and you are starting to develop, you get some credits under your belt and you see the kind of characters you're playing. Then spend that much money to really hone in on. To book the
and you get the agent by you reaching out to the organization or the agent that you want. Do you do an email, phone call?
So, okay. So here's where I hesitate a little bit because there's definitely a formula.
Okay.
And then this formula again I got from Dallas Travers. I don't know if this course that I took with her is even available anymore. So there's a very specific timing and method, and so first it's to send an email and to the agent, just a very quick email with a link to your website that has your headshot on it, or a link to your reel, even if it's just a YouTube reel that you put up. If you don't have to have a website, but just a very easy thing that they can click and see 2 minutes tops of you doing your thing.
Okay.
And so you start with that. Then so you do the email, then you do
like how many guys would you email? Do
10.
You want to go
10 to 12?
10 to 12. Okay.
Yeah, that I've selected. 10 to 12 agents, that's kind of who I'm targeting. And then I just kind of keep hitting them in a very specific way. So email, mail, and then there's a way to do it that, it's a bit more strategic. If I send a big envelope with my headshot in it, they get hundreds of those every single day. They're just going to go to the trash.
Right.
So you can send it in a unique way that's true to me as an artist, and we'll just get opened. So there's strategies to get your stuff opened.
But you don't have to share that secret yet. But if someone wants to contact you, you can get a few nuggets from Richard about that.
Yes.
Okay, so you come out of school, you email the agents. You got to find a little part-time job. You get your headshots done. So, do you should you get your headshots done before you reach out to the agents, because you got to see what you look like? So get your headshots first, and then reach out to the agents. Okay.
Yes.
So, if someone's thinking about moving out here, I'm in the Midwest.
Yes.
You know, I see that. I see the
Rodeo Drive and the palm trees.
I see everything online. Yes. I see. I don't know what the latest reality show is, but anyway, everyone's shopping in Rodeo, doing Sunset, blah 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 blah, Hollywood, whatever. And I'm like, I want to go out there. You know, I was number one in my drama team. You know, blah 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 blah. What advice would you have someone that wants to move out to LA in 2019, 2020?
2019 and 2020, if you're moving to LA, I would say bring a good portfolio. I use portfolio loosely. Bring a nice portfolio of work that you've already been doing and are currently working on. So if you have a group of friends in your hometown, or if you're in school, a group of collaborators, start to make, even if it is a web series, yes, there are a ton of web series out and things, or if you are doing live performance, document it, have some scripts ready to go, a lot of footage ready to go, so that you don't come here, I want to say the word fresh, but inevitably you're fresh if you're new to the city, but what I mean is not to come empty-handed.
Right.
Oh, all right, I have this look, and I'm, trained, and I took all the classes, and I was in all the plays, and okay, that's really not going to get you very far unless you happen to meet the person that happens to be looking for your exact look, and there happens to not be anyone else that can do it in their network. That's a pretty specific bullseye.
So pretty much, if you're in that particular town or city, use what you have already. You already know so-and-so from high school, so-and-so from college, so-and-so from the,
Yes, it's much more interesting if you come to LA and you get to go to a networking event and you meet someone that you want to work with or whom you admire. It's much more interesting to walk up to them and go, hi, oh my gosh, I'm a big fan. I just moved from this. I'm working on da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We've shot 8 episodes of this thing. It's on Vimeo. We're working on this script, da-da-da. And I'm excited to move forward in a specific way.
Right.
So that you're bringing something to the table.
Right.
Everyone and their mom's coming here. Oh, I want to make it, and they told me I was, good. And I'm sure that's true. I don't want to disparage anybody, but that's not going to get you very far.
Right.
But if I have material, then you can show them the material or send them the link, and then they'll get a sense of, oh, okay, cool, this person is pretty good. And that's interesting, these kind of characters. There's nothing quite like that. Yeah, let's see if we can line them up, with something.
Right.
The something is not going to be your own TV show, probably.
No.
But it will be something like working with people that can develop a show with you in 5 years or 7 years.
They have something to work on.
Yeah, something you build. It's a business.
Speaking of business, what I try to get across to people as artists and creatives, which you'll see on the show, a lot of times we get sucked in on being the creative person, but we don't learn the business aspect of it.
Yes.
I just want to touch on that a little bit with you. The business of, would you say would it be the business of acting, or would it be the business of what? How would you categorize the business of?
Well, it's very person to person. If I'm still
if I say Hollywood, if you're talking about Hollywood and you want to get into Hollywood,
that's
the business of Hollywood.
Show business.
Business still?
It still can mean anything. It can mean costumes. It can mean writing. It can be directing, lighting.
Depending on what you...
Camera.
Right.
It can be acting, singing, dancing.
Depends on what your thing is.
Yes.
Okay.
So
what I want to do, I want to cover a few different topics per se. I'm just gonna throw out, like, I'm gonna say theater, New York, LA, and then you tell me your input,
Okay.
and I just keep going, and then you just tag it from there.
Okay.
So let's
cool.
start off with
Just
that.
like a
Let's start
lightning
off.
round, just bop,
Pretty
bop, bop.
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's do your thoughts on the difference between theater in New York and the theater in LA.
Okay. Theater in New York is respected and sought after by
Right.
artists and audiences. Theater in LA it feels like the stepchild, like the typical stepchild feeling. You know, everyone would rather be working with the camera. There's this mystique of Hollywood, and ooh, I'm on set, and or even, you know, you'll drive by your neighborhood and the whole street's blocked off
Right.
or whatever, and it's
Right.
ooh, the lights and that. There's all of this excitement around that that is missing in theater in Los Angeles. So there are a few big theaters here that bring in, you know, the touring companies, or sometimes the original Broadway cast, or some of them from something that did really well in New York for the last year or whatever. It'll come here. You know, there's also the Pantages. You know, we'll bring in the musicals and the touring Broadway musicals. But as far as theater done by actors based in LA, it's mostly non-union, non-equity.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few theater companies, but more than that, you'll find there are venues where you can rent for not too expensive, and you would put it together a play with your collaborators in your network, and you'd rent the space for a weekend or 2 weekends. There's a lot more of that than there are theater companies that kind of have a manifesto, and they, you know, those exist, but there's honestly only a few.
Okay.
So if you're interested in theater, and you're in the States, New York.
Okay. Top 3 cities that you see, top 3 to 4 cities that you think is hot right now as far as filming, movie production, you know, that has the juice.
Yeah, so New York, Atlanta, and I don't know, Vancouver was doing
I heard
a
Canada's
lot of
pretty hot.
stuff. Yeah, and so I'd say, yeah.
So New York, Atlanta, and Canada, Vancouver,
Yeah.
depending.
Yeah, well, Vancouver, but also Toronto, so you're kind of both, like...
But
But
if you're in New York, you just go up, and if you're here, you just...
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes. And then, I'd say LA would be 4th for film and TV.
Okay. Grad school, no grad school.
Grad school, no grad school. So, grad school is not needed at all. You can win an Oscar without it. You can win an Oscar with it. You can not win an Oscar with it, and you can not win an Oscar without it. So the thing about grad school is you're going to have this such hardcore utility tool belt and be able to be so malleable and do anything all the time, but no one will value it. Like they won't value really, oh, you have an MFA, so cool. No. What'll happen is you'll just be somewhere and a problem will come up and you'll have the solution and you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then people don't know that it's because you're trained and it's no big deal for you.
Right.
All they know is, oh wow, they just did something. Wow, cool.
Made it happen.
Okay, they made it happen.
Right.
So, yeah. So grad school, unless you go to Yale or NYU or Juilliard, for the most part, they're just connected with business. So opportunities will come for you just because of that network.
Right.
But even then, it doesn't guarantee anything. So I wouldn't go to grad school simply because I want success. If what you're after is simply success, grad school is not really needed. If you want to be an artist and master your craft, grad school may have a lot of what you are looking for.
Do you, aside from everything that you do, how do you stay focused and driven? Because it gets to a point where you book this thing, or it's feast or famine in LA.
Yes.
One minute everyone's
Yes.
calling you, and you're like, man, my schedule's full. And then next minute you think like, did everybody go to Coachella for the last 6 months?
Yeah, is my battery dead?
Yeah. Did I pay my cell phone bill? And you're trying to figure out what happened. In those down times when things aren't popping or aren't moving forward,
Yes.
what do you do to stay in, stay driven, keep it,
Yeah, that's a very good point, is that with the entertainment industry, it is a wave. So those of you, and then again, maybe this is engineer Richard, but if those of you that took trigonometry, there's like a sine wave, or you can Google sine wave. It's just kind of just up and down, very even, and it will be that no matter what. So, case in point, a few years ago, there was a movie that came out called Nebraska that was directed by Alexander Payne.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, at least in LA, was one of the top contender movies. It was a favorite. Everyone was talking about it. And then so for the whole next 6 months after it came out, everyone was like, oh, Nebraska, oh, I want to work with Alexander Payne. Like, oh, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
Oh, my God. And then after that, it was Birdman. So everyone's like, oh, my God, Alejandro Iñárritu, da-da-da-da-da. Alexander Payne's still working. The next film he made was Downsizing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still at work.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not getting the attention at that moment.
Right.
Now it's Alejandro Iñárritu. Now it's so-and-so. Like today, for us, as we're recording, it's probably Quentin Tarantino, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out.
Right.
So, even, and you can do this with performers too. They'll think about your favorite actor, and there will be, 1 year they have like 3 movies,
Right.
and then nothing for a minute. So that's always going to happen at every level, even when you reach your successes. So, it's important to enjoy life, have a very well-rounded life. So for me, I enjoy rock climbing.
Okay.
I love it, love it, love it. So there was one day literally where I didn't have an audition, like all my stuff's updated, checked with my contacts, just doing all of my homework, and I thought, okay, cool, rent's gonna be due pretty soon, okay, I should, and I started to get a little bit stressed, like, okay, maybe should I write something, should I, and just this sort of panic mode just was kicking in. I wasn't panicked, but
Yeah.
I was feeling it, like,
Yeah.
oh, what are you gonna do, Richard?
Uh-huh.
And so I thought, you know what? Forget it. There's not a task right now with a $sign on it that I can do today, right now. So forget it. I'm gonna go climbing. So I did. I just said, okay, forget it. Went to the climbing gym, got it in, worked out for a couple of hours, and literally when I walked out of the gym, I got a message, bling, and I had an audition for the next day.
Jeez. Wow.
So I thought, if you go to the climbing gym, you'll always get an audition.
Hey, I can't tell you what gym.
Yeah, I can't tell you what gym, but if you go to my climbing gym, you'll get an audition. No, but, so was I going to get that audition that day anyway? Probably. Maybe not, whatever. But the point is, instead of waiting around flipping out for hours
Right.
until I got it, then what kind of life is that? That's terrible.
Right.
Or I can just enjoy myself, do something that feels good, that's productive, healthy, and then just let it come. Because it will come. You will get the next tide.
So when you say homework, and I talk about homework, and I tell cooks all the time, you learn how to cook at home.
Mm-hmm.
When you finally get into the restaurant, it's application. Yes, I'm going to show you how to do it right, but if you're at home, are you watching videos? Are you studying the recipes? Are you working on your knife skills at home? Are you working on your saute skills with the beans and old school stuff? That way, when you get to work, it's just application.
Right.
You still got to learn at work, but for me to teach you from zero and you go home and just completely go blank, it defeats the purpose.
Right.
As a professor, what have you seen in the students that you're teaching these days, pros and cons? What have you seen so far?
Well, the biggest thing that I see with undergraduate students is there's this feeling of like reaching for something or we set up in school that you're going to go to this grade, then you
Right.
take this class and then that. And a lot of college programs are set up in the same way. You got to take all these classes and then you get the degree.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this feeling of like there's this dangling carrot that they can't reach, and they're just trying to do all these things, run through all these hoops, so they can get that carrot, which is their degree.
Mm-hmm.
And what I work to instill in my students is that no, that's not. You don't get the degree, that carrot, and then real life starts. This is real life right now.
Right.
So actually, you chose to be here, and you're a paying customer here. Even if you have a scholarship or a grant, you worked hard, were awarded an opportunity or a sum of money to come to school, and this is where you're using that. So if you chose to be here, you don't have to be, and you're paying for this, take ownership of it.
Right.
That's class by class by class, each meeting session or lecture session, and each course. So rather than, I got to get this grade, it's, no, the grade doesn't actually matter, really.
Right.
What matters is I'm going to be an actor, and this will help me. This voice class, this movement class will help me sharpen my skills for that. Yes, I want to be here, and I'm going to do it. Whatever the reading is, whatever the work is, it's mine. It's not like
It's
a hoop I
ownership.
have to achieve. It's already mine. It's an offering to me because I already decided that I'm already going to be an actor. So I already am an actor. You see what I mean? So then when you come from that standpoint, it's one, it's more fun.
Right.
And two, when you have a focus of why you're there, you get much more out of the class. You get what you need rather than trying to cram for this arbitrary midterm or exam that doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had an audition and they said, well, what'd you get in speech class?
Right.
Let me see your speech class transcripts.
Right.
No.
But at the same time, I noticed, and I've heard this from a few different people, that they were in administration. They're not booked out. Students are not coming to you saying, I'm in this class. For me, when I was in culinary school, I really utilized my instructors.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying I was bucking them, but I wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
That way, when I get in a forefront on the line in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
I may not be as finesse as some of the guys that's been there for a while,
Right.
but I know it. I just got to apply it. And with you, do you notice that students are coming to your office, trying to get that extra credit? What else can I do? Looking for that extra advice to help them step their game up? Or are they just like, well, I'm here. Is there any competition? Are they hungry? Do they want it? Do they,
Yeah, I have a few students that are very hungry and do want it. And I have some that are totally not, and everything in between.
Right.
I don't know. The thing about teaching, I think, is that... So, okay. Well, hopefully none of them will find this, but here's this honest, dirty truth.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when I'm teaching a class, I know that actually I'm only really teaching maybe one or two of them.
Out of how many?
Doesn't matter if it's a class of... like, you could take a whole year. Out of all the classes I'm teaching this year...
Okay.
Probably less than 5 students I'm actually talking to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know which 5 they are.
Oh, man, come on.
No, it's true.
You know.
No. No, I'm serious. Yes, you have the A students that are very hungry.
Right.
But a lot of them peter out.
Oh,
So
right.
4 years later, it's like, I'm not really doing it anymore, blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes later, one pops up, and suddenly something clicks.
Something clicks. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I can say something that nobody understands, but way later, maybe later in the day, next year, 4 years, something will happen, and it'll just come rushing back. And that was what I did that day.
Right.
7 years ago, even though me in 7 years won't have any idea. I just know that somewhere, somehow, I gave the right people that encountered me what they needed. I just don't know.
Right.
Very rarely do I know, this is it. Like, So, yeah, so
As you've gone through your career, and people have always told me you got to learn how to follow before you become a leader. How does that work in your industry, or does that have any presence at all?
Follow before you. No,
But you're
it's such
kind of an
crapshoot.
independent.
Yes. Yeah. You gotta follow before you can lead. I mean, there's nothing really to follow, but I'd say that, especially for theater, you need to get some technique before you can really, you gotta crawl before you can walk.
Right.
So it's more of a personal thing with the skills than it is following another artist.
Right.
Or a mentor.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say the only really thing to gain from a mentor artist, or the only thing to follow really, is work ethic.
Work ethic.
But you still have your own routine. The things that I need to work on are different than the person next to me. Even though, in grad school there's 14 of us, we all have the same schedule, and we're all together for 12, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. But even though we're in the same class, I'm working on something different than the person next to me.
Right.
It's very subjective.
Right. Okay, let's say someone's been in the industry, they've done the top 5, 6, 7 things. They get a few little things here and there, nothing substantial.
Mm-hmm.
They're in this relationship a few years, and they're getting a little serious.
Okay.
Late 20s, early 30s, and she's like, okay, let's, we kind of want to start a family. He's kind of driving for Uber and Lyft, has a little part-time job. He's still pursuing his acting and trying to make it in the industry. And when I say make it, I'm talking vaguely. I don't mean a house in the hill that's worth $2-3 million and the nanny and blah blah blah. I'm not saying that. Making it to me is that you have a career that with multiple streams of income, whereas yes, you're teaching, you're writing, you're performing, like you're getting paid from different avenues, let's say. This person doesn't have that yet. They're just a part-time, they're getting serious, they want to start a family. What would you, and he or she's realistic. I might have to let this go for a little while and really focus on bringing this family together financially, most likely. What would be your advice to that person?
To stay with acting and to start a family. Yeah, I'd say, and they're not really booking work right now. They kind of are. Not enough to have a family.
Not enough. Maybe some background stuff here and there, but nothing with some legs on it. Nothing with the.
Okay, then yeah, I mean, if you're talking about having a family, you definitely need to have some income coming in. You have to feed the kid.
Is there any career transition that you would recommend to this person? Like maybe look into XYZ.
I would say that, I mean, this is also case by case, but to follow their interests, getting into the casting world can be very rewarding, to see other actors and to kind of put together the families of the cast that are on the film. And when I say family, I don't mean literally like, oh, you play the mom, you play the dad.
Right.
But family in terms of, okay, like this guy's personality and energy will be really interesting with this person as that role. And like, will they work well together or not, like depending on what's needed. So getting into casting is a great way to stay in the industry, but it's a bit more steady. The income is a bit more steady. And also you have more business hours, because if you're doing something like production, you're going to be on set all day or all night or just
random
whenever.
Hours.
Yes, yeah. So that can be challenging with having a family.
I was told editing is a good solid, like people
always.
always
if you want to make money, yes, technology stuff, sound. If you can do sound, you're
sound
always.
Guys.
That's actually fantastic. I'd say that's money. Editing or sound, because you can make a few grand in just a few work days.
Right.
Which is fine for a single person. Making rent.
Yeah.
Because the thing is with, especially when you're starting out and there's a lot of, indie projects or people trying to make their first this or that. The actors probably won't get paid. and the sound guy will get paid.
Yeah, sound guy is no
Like,
joke. I've heard
yes.
about that. Yeah.
Sound person, yeah, the sound, yes. And the projects have to have sound, because that's the first thing, that's the first telltale of a shitty project.
Right.
If the sound's not good, the whole project sucks. You know, there's a lot you can do to fudge with camera. Like, you can do a lot with an iPhone.
Right.
But the iPhone speaker,
Oh, got it.
you know, not for making a film.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You know, Apple, it's all good. I have an iPhone and I love it, so. But
Go
even
Apple.
so.
Right.
Yeah,
okay. Is there any projects or anything that you would want to get into, or you got your eye on, or anything like that?
For me, I'm actually very surprised at how interested and how much fun I have directing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I would only want to act and just be in front of the camera all the time. But I enjoy directing and working on my own material. So, you know, and I still perform also. I mean, right now I'm in a production, a Shakespeare production, with an equity company that's doing very well. And so we're touring this show. It closes this weekend. And in October, I'm going to Oaxaca Film Festival down in Mexico with a short that I performed in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm bopping around, but directing, I'd say, is really interesting because, yeah, it's fun to be able to communicate to the actors all of the kind of, what I guess I'll call front of house stuff. Like, okay, this is what's going on for the character. Let's do this. But it's really awesome to also kind of coordinate with the camera person and if I have a set person or if it's just me, just to kind of make the picture, to tell the story visually with the actor. It's I'm surprised at how much fun it is and how much satisfaction I find in kind of achieving little details in a moment. You know, just something like, oh, was a cup like this or was it like that?
Right.
But it means something.
Yeah.
At least to me.
No, I'm shocked. I know you were always in front of the guy and dealt with a lot of movement and sense of presence, and you know, you're talking about, you know, your diaphragm and breathing and all that good stuff. So for you to be behind the camera, it's like, oh, yeah, okay. All right.
And then when I'm behind the camera, I can put myself in front of the camera exactly as I should, which isn't in lead parts all the time, really, because I don't want to split my focus. But yeah, I'd say generally I enjoy creating my own work, like writing it myself and then directing it, or getting a director that's right for it if I want to perform. Yeah, I've found life much more satisfying when I'm working on my own material than when I'm running around auditioning for like whatever TV show or commercial. Because they both take a tremendous amount of effort and it's very difficult. But I always just have a little more juice when it's my project.
Of course.
You know, and that's just me. You know, I have a lot of friends that no, they want to get on the show. I have a few friends that they're constantly on shows, and that's what they're about.
Quick question: How important is it to maintain your weight? I know this kind of came out of the field, but I realized that I do a lot of catering in the hills, and there's a lot of actors and actresses and whatever.
Yeah.
And some of these females, they're really, like, they're afraid to eat stuff at times, or they'll eat it and you can say, like, either they just came from the gym or they're doing a detox. There's always something.
Right.
I think with guys who are just naturally active in the city, the weather's great all year round. How important is it to show up as your headshot? Like, your headshot says this and you show up like this.
You need to look like your headshot off top. And that doesn't mean just weight, but that also means makeup, hair color.
Right.
You know, if I have like a full beard in my headshot and then I show up like this, you know, maybe they wanted a beard.
Right.
You know, usually they'll say what they want, but so you need to look like your headshot. You know, it's just, think of it like any other business. You know, if I was having an ice cream shop and I made deliveries, am I going to deliver melted ice cream? No, I want the ice cream to look like the picture that they saw on the website.
Right.
So think of it like that. I can't speak too much to weight and being a woman in the industry because I'm not a woman, and that's just I don't have enough firsthand experience to touch that. But I've heard a lot of stories about women having to lose weight and like da.
Right.
I've also, as a male, have had to like make sure that I'm cut for certain types of projects.
Right.
But not all of them. I'd say, I'd like to say that it's more about consistency than it is about if you're big or not.
Okay.
If there's a lot of fluctuation, that's tough, especially in a TV show or a project that's going to take a long time to film. It might take 3 or 4 months or more to film to make a film that takes place. When you watch the movie, it's just one weekend.
Right.
Or something. So if that's the case, you need to have some consistency. Yeah, but also I see casting calls for everything.
Well, these days that's true. Everyone gets a fair shot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I give you that. I want to take a break and give a shout out to our sponsors for making this thing happen. Bliss Tea and Treats, based out of Oceanside. They plan on opening. Find your happy place. They'll be open this fall. Assortment of teas from all over the world, specialty sandwiches, specialty scones, really cool desserts, a beautiful space, downtown Oceanside, right next to the train station. There's a movie theater next door. I mean, there's no excuse for you not to be there, but anyway, thank you to our sponsors. So now I want to get into the nitty-gritty, the last 15.
Okay.
If you got kids, if you got someone under the age of 12, I would say 13, but under the age of 12 and under, you might want to have them go and play with that, phone, or have them go change your oil in your car. Well, maybe not that, but they can wash the car for you. What I want to do now is I want Richard to tell someone straight up, face to face, whatever he wants about the industry, good, bad, ugly. Believe it or not, it's completely up to you, but I want to make sure that we are crystal clear when I bring these professionals in here. I want them to talk to you like I'm going to avoid you falling off a cliff. So I'm going to let Richard say his piece now, and I might add in a little something, but I'm going to let him go ahead and tell you what the deal is.
Okay, cool. Well, now I feel the pressure to bring at least one thing that's for mature audiences only. Although the first thing that came to my mind is to not take it so personally, actors. Let it be a business. I know that when I graduated, I thought, I'm an artist and I want to play all kinds of roles and like da-da-da-da-da. But if what you want is to get into TV and film, just pick 2 character types that are just money for you, that you can do in your sleep. You would always get cast in this kind of part. You can look at the monologue, and it would be so easy. You would just have it like instantly. Just pick 2 of those that are different, maybe 3, but really just 2. You could even just do 1, and just market yourself as that, and just only go for all those roles that are just so easy, so that you'll get booked. You don't have to stretch. You can do it in one take. Because for TV, they don't really care about acting, especially. It's so quick. You just have to hit your mark, say the line, and move on. That's it. Like, let's go. There's no finding the character and like da-da-da-da. They pretty much just need to see a piece of who you already are and just do that. Now, having said that, what you're doing with TV, honestly, I think is exploiting yourself. And so it's likely that whatever you feel the most vulnerable about yourself is the thing they're going to want. Period. Mm-hmm. So if you are overweight, they're going to want you for like the fat kid thing. So you can have your feelings hurt and go, no, I'm more than that. Of course you are. Yes, you're a full human being and you're an artist. But for a $500 day and then residuals coming in,
run with it.
If I can just do that, if you're comfortable and you have ownership of yourself, do it. That's what I'd say you need is ownership of yourself and clarity on who you are as a person. Because no matter what, it's whatever's easy for you or just like on the surface, that's what you're gonna get. And it goes for everybody. The pretty girls, they get the ingenue role. Well, this is speaking traditionally. I mean, a lot is changing and shifting, and everything is up in the air now, so it's a very exciting time. But the cliche goes that, even the pretty girl, she's going to play the ingenue. And she always wants to play the role of, like, that's a much more meatier role, but she has to be the ingenue. Then the girl that's, like, weird looking, and this is for the men, too. I want to be the superhero, of course, but I get to be Peter Parker. Not Superman, just Peter Parker. So I can get mad about that and go, no, I want to be, like the action hero. Well, or I can just get paid easy and just be the nerd or whatever.
Right.
So, so pick one or two things and just go for it. Get the money. And then once you develop a career and a following, then you can kind of step out and do projects. And you'll feel comfortable enough and financially comfortable enough to do a side project that doesn't pay as well, but really is, speaks to your artistry and is a stretch for you. So I'd say that.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
Someone needs to get up out of bed, get their ass to the gym. I'll call it paying the light bill. When I say I'm going to pay the light bill,
okay,
it means I'm going to the gym. Some people say I'm going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say whatever.
Yes.
I say I'm going to go pay the light bill. Because the reason I say that, a lot of people pay the light bill to the gym and they never go. So the gym's saying, thank you for paying my light bill. You keep your ass at home, but thank you for paying the light bill.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person that's laying in bed, they got the song, to get them to get their ass up out of bed? What would you tell them?
I would say, right now you're alive. What are you waiting for? Like, this is it. There is nothing to wait for. And there's nothing promised and there's nothing guaranteed. So if right now you're alive right now, how would you want to spend your time right now? Like, what do you want to be doing right now? And if it is laying in bed, then lay in bed. I'm going to go get your part.
Okay, so I'll play devil's advocate. Well, so-and-so's supposed to call me about that role. So-and-so has an agent who was going to send me a text. He didn't send me a text. It's hot outside. Mm-hmm. My AC isn't working. I mean, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm going to say that right now.
I feel I don't want to talk to you. Honestly.
But yeah.
But
there's certain things go through your head and you kind of like...
highs and lows for sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, what really is needed is you got to just change your pattern. You got to do something to change it up. Like, even if it's little, like, changing your breakfast. Like, go somewhere new for breakfast. Go get coffee somewhere else. Go across town. Just something, just to change it up and just kind of start a new routine. Even if it's I go across town to get coffee and then I walk around the block to do that. Just, by doing that, it's a new place. It'll be easier for you to walk around the block in a new neighborhood to get coffee than the coffee shop you always go to. Because you'll just fall into, no, I'm just going to get my scone and go back to my place. And so somehow shake it up. And it doesn't even have to be like the productive or, the things that you actually need to do. Don't put that pressure on it because then you really aren't going to do it when you're in that kind of a place. But just a small thing that changes up your routine. And then when you're in that new place, your body's like, whoa, what? Then you tack on the new good habits. The light bill.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, some people even go to their local coffee shop and don't even know the barista's name. They don't know the server's name. They don't know the guy that's sitting across from them for the last 6 weeks. Because LA, everyone's an island. I want my table. I want my little Wi-Fi. Blah, blah, blah. So everyone's introverts. But they want to be seen out, but they're introverts. So when I tell people mix it up, look nice, look good, put on some cologne, perfume, say hi to the person, make eye contact. Like, let them, start small talk. You don't know who they know. Right. Increase your network. One person at a time. one person at a time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What I would tell that person in the bed, I'm like, you got one of two things. Put the covers over your head and go back to sleep, or get the fuck up out of bed and let's go get it. It's one or two things. But I hate people. I hate gray areas. Either right now, either you're working out, getting it in, or you just got done getting it in. That's the only people I rock with. Of course, every now and then you feel a little bummed out. You don't feel like doing nothing. Cool. Go get a massage. Go sit at the park. Just, go let your mind go free. Go read a book. Go check out something in the library. Do something. That's fine. Just go do something. But you got to be accountable for your time. You can't have your resume and then have like 2-3 months blank. It's like, okay, what happened here? You got to start running with people. Steel sharpen steel. So you got to meet people that are doing things you want to do, and that's what I'm doing with this podcast. I want people to get nuggets and put it in their belt so they can say, you know what, Richard said this, Al said this, this other guest said this, this other guy said this. So you can say, okay, this is how they went about it, and it's all attainable. Anyway, thank you so much for the show. How can these people get a hold of you if they want a little one-on-one, some coaching, a little guidance? What do you got for them?
Yeah, for one-on-one coaching and consultation, they can send me an email to rhpluim@gmail.com. So you can shoot me an email, and then I can contact you about my rates and what I offer, and some more specific, notes about Los Angeles and the entertainment industry as I've experienced it. I also have a YouTube channel, Insight for the Training Actor, which I'm very excited to say is shifting its direction. So as it started, I was doing a lot of what I was seeing, which was, the top 10 this, or like the 5 things to da. But honestly, I was getting bored just kind of having to, I got to think of a new thing. So it's shifting to a much more, I guess, like a vlog. So as I think of things that come up or experience things, it'll feel a bit more personal, rather than the formal 10 lists and trying to get clicks and stuff. I'd rather just give real material. So Insight for the Training Actor on YouTube. Okay. And so if you can't email me or from my YouTube, I think that's good. We'll start there.
Well, I mean, you could email me, algordon419 at gmail.com. And I do some consulting stuff for individuals. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you're not ready to get your team together, if you're not ready to get your cooks together, if you're not ready to get your kitchen staff together, if you just ain't ready to get together, I'm not the guy for you. You call me when you want to get shit done. I'll be the bad guy. That's all I can say, but I guarantee you your staff is going to be tight. Food's going to be good. That's at least your concerns. But what I want to do, I know you're taking off to Mexico in a few weeks. I definitely want to know about the trip. I've heard of festivals. I did an event at Sundance.
Oh, yeah.
With Ben Ford years ago. It was me, Govin. There was a few LA chefs out there. Yeah, I know. I know, man. Yeah, I was just like, I definitely don't belong up here. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. But it was cool.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. It was snowing. We were in a hot tub. Anyway, we had a lot of fun. So Mexico might be a little bit different.
Yes, yeah.
But, anytime you're back in town, I really want you to come on. And I constantly want to update actors as far as, like, this is what's going on now. This is how you navigate in these days as opposed to, a year ago. Because things are changing with so many things.
Yeah.
You had the YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Warner Brothers, Paramount.
Apple just launched, yeah.
Like, everyone has something. So now you have Atlanta and Tyler Perry doing this thing down there. And
yes.
Anyway, so I really would like you to keep in touch with us and keep us abreast on what's going on in that industry.
Oh, yeah.
And to you guys, you definitely reach out to Richard if you want to. Sometimes you need somebody that have that phone that can make some calls for you, make some things happen. Sometimes you need that little motivating thing and say, hey, come on, let's go get it. So if you want to do that, make it happen. But other than that, you guys have a good evening. Take care.